Today, I invite you to an extremely interesting topic: narcissists. Have you ever wondered if you have a narcissist around you? Maybe a friend, maybe a colleague, maybe a family member. Today, we are going to talk about 8 ways to understand narcissists. These ways are important not only to recognize them, but also to understand how we can protect ourselves from their influence. If you're ready, let's get started. Characteristic features of narcissists. Understanding. Narcissists requires looking beyond their superficially attractive images. Narcissists often appear charismatic, confident, and impressive on the outside. However, this image is often just a mask, covering a deeper insecurity and need for control. One of the most striking characteristics of narcissists is their constant search for admiration and approval. Being the center of attention is almost a necessity for them. They feel uncomfortable when they are not the center of attention and will try various ways of drawing attention back to themselves. Sometimes this is done by telling exaggerated stories, and sometimes by belittling the achievements of others. Narcissists' self-confidence is protected by a superficial mask of confidence. They tend to criticize or belittle others to make themselves seem strong and superior. However, they are often fragile underneath this mask. If they are criticized or do not get the attention they expect, they may become angry or defensive. Manipulation is one of the most common methods used by narcissists. Using methods such as gaslighting, they can make the other person question their perception of reality. For example, by saying, "You're exaggerating, nothing like that happened," they make the person question their own feelings and thoughts. Appearance and status play an important role in the lives of narcissists. They go to great lengths to look perfect and prove their success with external indicators. Stylish clothes, a luxurious lifestyle, or a prestigious job are important parts of their self-image. But this is nothing more than an attempt to fill an inner void. Lack of empathy is one of the biggest problems narcissists have in their relationships. They have difficulty understanding or caring about the feelings of others. They tend to focus on their own needs and ignore the feelings of those around them. Intolerance of criticism is another prominent characteristic of narcissists. Even when they receive constructive feedback, they perceive it as a personal attack and usually react defensively or aggressively. Their relationships are characterized by superficiality and self-interest. Narcissists think about what they want to get out of their relationships, and when these expectations are not met, they usually move on quickly. Their masks often hide a selfish and manipulative nature. It takes time and attention to really get to know them, because at first they may seem compassionate and understanding. Over time, however, their true colors come out, and this is when their relationships with the people around them begin to suffer. Recognizing narcissists requires an understanding of these characteristics. With this information, it may be possible to protect yourself and stay away from their manipulative influence. Detecting manipulative behavior. One of the narcissist's most powerful weapons is manipulation. For them, manipulative behavior is a basic strategy for controlling others and achieving their own desires. This manipulation aims to influence the emotions, thoughts, and decisions of those around them. Narcissists are often skillful at hiding this behavior, so it can be difficult to spot. However, there are some signs that can help you understand the manipulative nature of a narcissist. One of the most common methods of manipulation is gaslighting. This technique causes a person to question their perception of reality. By minimizing or distorting the other person's feelings and thoughts, a narcissist can make them doubt their own truth. For example, by saying, "You always exaggerate things, nothing like that happened," she makes the other person doubt their true feelings. This kind of manipulation damages the person's self-confidence and increases the narcissist's control. Narcissists' manipulative behavior is not limited to words. They are extremely successful at identifying other people's weaknesses or emotional needs. A narcissist first establishes intimacy by gaining trust and sympathy, and then uses this bond for their own benefit. For example, if they can see that you are insecure about something, they can use this as a tool to control you. Another manipulative behavior is to create a sense of guilt. Narcissists may make the other person feel guilty in order to cover up their own mistakes or wrong behavior. For example, by saying things like, "You are responsible for making me feel this way," they may try to put you in an unfair position by ignoring their own mistakes. This allows the narcissist to avoid responsibility and justify themselves. Another common manipulative behavior of narcissists is the silent treatment. If the narcissist doesn't get what they want or the attention they expect, they may punish you by ignoring you. This behavior is a tactic the narcissist uses to regain control and make you do what they want. Silent treatment can make a person feel guilty or worthless. A common feature of manipulative behavior is that the narcissist puts their own needs above everything else. It is important for them to fulfill their own desires and to steer the people around them in this direction. If you find yourself being subjected to this behavior, it is important to set boundaries and recognize the manipulation. Manipulative narcissists will try all sorts of ways to control and neutralize the lives of others. However, by recognizing these behaviors, it is possible to free yourself from their influence and set healthy boundaries. Lack of empathy. Empathy is a person's ability to understand the feelings of others and form an emotional bond with them. However, one of the most striking characteristics of narcissists is their lack of empathy. This deficiency causes them to have serious problems in human relationships. Narcissists are unable to understand or care about the feelings of those around them. For them, other people's emotional needs take a back seat to their own interests and desires. A lack of empathy prevents narcissists from forming a real bond with the people around them. A narcissist may notice that someone else is going through a difficult time, but instead of understanding or supporting them, they prefer to draw attention to their own problems. For example, when a friend shares that they are having a difficult day, a narcissist may immediately change the direction of the conversation by describing their own difficulties. This reflects their need to be the center of attention. Narcissists' lack of empathy is not just apathy. They may sometimes try to use the other person's emotional state to their own advantage. For example, if they notice that you are upset about something, they may see this as an opportunity to manipulate you. This gives us a better understanding of why they damage relationships. This lack of empathy also leads narcissists to ignore their own mistakes. Because they are blind to other people's feelings, they do not realize how what they say or do hurts the other person. Worse, when this is pointed out to them, they often deny responsibility and deflect the blame onto someone else. Narcissists' lack of empathy often leads to mistrust and distance in relationships. People who are in a close relationship with a narcissist feel that their own feelings are ignored and disregarded over time. This creates a sense of worthlessness in the other person. Because narcissistic people focus only on their own needs, they cannot develop the habit of considering other people's needs and feelings. The lack of empathy makes it almost impossible for narcissists to form emotionally satisfying relationships. Instead of mutual understanding and support in relationships, they create an order of one-sided interests. If you are surrounded by a narcissist who is lacking in empathy, it is very important to recognize this and set boundaries. To protect your own emotional health, do not allow a narcissistic person to manipulate you or ignore your feelings. Remember that healthy relationships are based on mutual empathy and understanding. They constantly praise themselves. One of the most striking characteristics of narcissists is their tendency to constantly praise themselves. They have a habit of exaggerating their achievements, talents, and possessions to those around them. This behavior is a strategy developed by narcissists to mask their deep-seated feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. Narcissistic people care inordinately about what others think of them. Their constant bragging is a result of their efforts to feed their self-confidence with external approval, while at the same time trying to create the perception that they are superior to the people around them. For example, a narcissist will often exaggerate his or her achievements or possessions. He draws attention to himself by presenting a small success as a great victory. This constant boasting may focus not only on the narcissist's achievements, but also on their physical appearance, social status, or network of relationships. At a meeting or social event, a narcissist will constantly redirect the conversation to their own achievements or possessions. If the conversation focuses on someone else's success or history, they often see this as an opportunity to emphasize their own superiority in some way. Narcissists' habit of praising themselves can end up disturbing the people around them. This is because such people do not show genuine interest in the stories or achievements of others. On the contrary, they perceive such situations as a competitive environment in which to demonstrate their superiority. For example, if someone in a group of friends shares that they have found a new job, the narcissist may exaggerate their own work experience in order to overshadow this success. The main reason for this behavior is that narcissists need constant external validation. Their self-confidence depends on other people's approval and admiration rather than on their own internal evaluation. Therefore, they often feel uncomfortable when they are not the center of attention or when they feel they are not being praised enough. This can sometimes be expressed as anger and sometimes as vulnerability. Narcissists' behavior of constantly praising themselves is usually an attempt to maintain a superficial mask of confidence and superiority. Over time, however, the vulnerability and insecurity beneath this mask becomes apparent to those around them. If you notice such behavior in a narcissist, be wary of their constant attempts to establish superiority over you. Remember that your own worth is determined by your own internal assessments, not by the perceptions they project onto you. They never accept criticism. One of the most striking characteristics of narcissists is that they never accept criticism. They tend to constantly see themselves as superior and perfect, so external criticism threatens their sense of self. When a narcissist is criticized in any way, they often become defensive, sometimes even overreacting. Criticism is at odds with their desire for self-esteem and superiority over others, so they often reject such feedback rather than accept it. A narcissist's refusal to accept criticism is often because they perceive it as a personal attack. They see any criticism as a threat to their ego, and in response, they may use exaggerated defenses to protect themselves. For example, a narcissist in the workplace may immediately go on the defensive when a small mistake is made, blaming the mistake on someone else or describing the situation in a completely different way. Accepting criticism goes against the narcissist's belief that he or she is a perfect person. In addition, narcissists often respond to criticism in a condescending or demeaning way. They do not take into account what others say because, in their eyes, only their own ideas and thoughts matter. Therefore, they often counterattack criticism. They defend themselves by saying things like, "You can't see how perfect I am," or "You're the only one who sees this flaw, it's not important." When a narcissist is criticized, they become even more defensive. They will usually blame the critic or try to absolve themselves of any real responsibility by making unfair accusations. A narcissist may feel jealousy, anger, or hatred towards the person who criticizes them. For them, such criticism means the destruction of their perception of perfection, so they are extremely sensitive and reactive to it. Narcissists' attitude of not accepting criticism can, over time, have a negative effect on the people around them. This is because constantly ignoring the opinions and feedback of others and imposing only their own truths creates insecurity in relationships. This situation reflects the narcissist's desire to establish superiority over those around them. They believe that they cannot be wrong in any way, and as a result, they have difficulty getting others to accept them. When interacting with a narcissist, you may find that they have difficulty accepting criticism. In this case, it is important to maintain your own boundaries and be more aware of their defensive behavior. Because narcissists perceive criticism as a personal attack, it can be difficult to have a healthy dialogue with them. Since such behavior is only an expression of the narcissist's inner insecurities and vulnerabilities, being more empathetic towards them can help you protect your own emotional health. They avoid guilt and responsibility. One of the most striking characteristics of narcissists is their avoidance of guilt and responsibility. Accepting their own mistakes and taking responsibility is extremely difficult in the world of narcissists because it can damage their image of being perfect and flawless. Narcissists tend to justify themselves in every situation and therefore often avoid taking responsibility for their mistakes or wrongdoings. This is a common attitude that prevents conflict resolution in relationships. Narcissists are very good at blaming others for their mistakes. When they make a mistake, they usually attribute it to external factors, the behavior of others, or adverse circumstances. For example, if they experience poor performance at work, they may attribute it to the incompetence of their colleagues, poor management decisions, or external circumstances. Taking responsibility for one's actions can make the narcissist feel weak or incomplete. Avoiding responsibility is therefore a safety mechanism for them. Narcissists' failure to take responsibility often manifests itself in a defensive and blaming attitude. A narcissist will immediately start blaming the other person rather than admitting their mistake. If they have been involved in the deterioration of a relationship, they will usually blame others with statements such as, "It happened because of you," or "You always misunderstood." This blaming allows the narcissist to ignore his or her own shortcomings or mistakes and to feel constantly right. This attitude stems from the narcissist's inner insecurity. Acknowledging their own faults can make them even more vulnerable. So instead of admitting their mistakes, they blame the people around them, making them feel powerful and superior. However, this can lead to a loss of trust in relationships in the long run, because when people realize that a narcissist does not take responsibility, they start to doubt their trustworthiness. Narcissists also fail to see how much they affect others when they make a mistake, due to their lack of empathy towards others. They focus only on their own emotional state, so taking responsibility feels like an emotional burden. Also, if a narcissist admits their shortcomings, they think it will damage their perfect image. So when they make mistakes, they often resort to tactics such as blaming others, distorting events, or denying them altogether. In addition, narcissists can sometimes manipulate by pretending to take responsibility while avoiding it. This is done to look good in the eyes of others and to impress them. However, such fake taking of responsibility is usually short-term and often aimed at protecting their personal interests. They want to avoid taking responsibility for their own mistakes or failures because this would expose the narcissist to a reality that they would have to face. If you observe a narcissist consistently failing to take responsibility in your relationships with them, this is part of their effort to manipulate you and justify themselves in every situation. In order to have healthy and productive communication with them, it is very important to be aware of these avoidance behaviors and to set limits when necessary. This will both help you protect your emotional health and prevent the narcissist from avoiding their responsibilities to you. There are imbalances in their relationships. Another prominent feature often seen in narcissists' relationships is the experience of imbalance. This imbalance is a reflection of the narcissist's desire to be the center of attention and control in relationships. Narcissists tend to focus only on their own needs and desires in relationships, while the emotional needs of others are often ignored. This leads to constant power struggles and emotional ups and downs in relationships. A relationship with a narcissist can be very attractive at first. This is because narcissists are extremely skilled at influencing others. At first, they may show excessive interest, act overly romantic, or behave in a way that makes others feel cared for. However, this behavior is usually a short-term strategy and changes over time. Narcissists' attention may consist of superficial behavior designed to impress others and make them feel valued. In the later stages of the relationship, the true face of the narcissist begins to emerge. She constantly wants to be in the foreground and tries to shape the relationship according to her own needs. The emotional needs of others are usually secondary. This creates emotional gaps in relationships and leads to a loss of balance over time. The narcissist is constantly looking out for his or her own interests, but is not interested in the emotional needs of the other person. In this case, the other person can often feel lonely and emotionally incomplete. Another aspect of imbalance in narcissistic relationships is emotional fluctuation. The narcissist may show excessive love and attention at one moment while being completely indifferent or cold at another. This creates a kind of emotional roller coaster effect in the relationship. These fluctuations destabilize the relationship and make it impossible for the other person to predict when they will receive love or indifference. The narcissist constantly shifts the balance in the relationship according to his or her own ego and emotional needs. There may also be a constant power struggle in a relationship with a narcissist. The narcissist tends to always have the power in the relationship. This manifests itself not only in an emotional sense, but also in decisions and other everyday matters. While the other person is constantly trying to adapt to the narcissist's wishes and expectations, their own needs may take a back seat. This can leave the other person feeling worthless and emotionally exhausted. The narcissist's desire to maintain his or her superiority deepens the imbalance in the relationship. Another important feature of narcissistic relationship imbalance is emotional abuse and manipulation. The narcissist is skilled at manipulating others to get what they want. If the narcissist cannot control the relationship, she may resort to methods such as blaming the other person, creating feelings of guilt or intimidation. These manipulations further destabilize the relationship. On the one hand, the narcissist's constant search for attention and approval to feed his or her ego, and on the other hand, the constant disregard for the other person's feelings damages the emotional bonds in the relationship. As a result, imbalances are inevitable in narcissists' relationships. They prefer to be in control at every stage of the relationship and put their own interests first. This prevents the relationship from building a healthy foundation and leads to emotional gaps, insecurity, and feelings of burnout over time. If you are in a relationship with a narcissistic person, it is very important to recognize the imbalances in the relationship and set boundaries to protect your own emotional health. This can help reduce the impact of the narcissist's imbalance in relationships and create a healthier balance. They hide their true face. One of the most dangerous and complex characteristics of narcissists in relationships is that they hide their true colors. Narcissists are extremely skilled at presenting a flawless and perfect image to those around them. This image is a manifestation of their need for self-admiration and superiority. They do not show their true selves to others, but usually create a false persona to gain the admiration of others and to pursue their own interests. This often makes them manipulative, dishonest, and insecure. At first, the true face of narcissists often goes unrecognized. They can be extremely attractive and charming to others. In order to project a confident image of themselves, they show those around them what they want and how they want to feel. As people get to know them, the initial charm slowly gives way to a markedly superficial behavior. The narcissist usually presents himself or herself as an ideal person and constantly seeks the approval and admiration of those around them. However, this idealized image begins to crumble over time. Their true self is sometimes revealed as tenderness, vulnerability, an inner emptiness beyond selfishness. Narcissists try to hide their true feelings, weaknesses, and faults. Therefore, they always try to show those around them that they are perfect and that they live flawlessly. Facing their own shortcomings damages the narcissist's sense of self. So they usually defend themselves in every situation and avoid admitting their mistakes. It is important to them that others see them as strong, perfect, and flawless. By hiding their true face, they present themselves to others as they wish and hide their inner insecurities. This false image is part of the narcissist's effort to manipulate those around them. They constantly change the way they address others and shape themselves according to the expectations of others. They constantly project a positive image in order to gain the attention of others. This leads to superficial and unhealthy relationships with those around them. The narcissist usually tries to constantly admire the other person in their relationships, but never gives space to their real feelings and emotional needs. Hiding their true face is the basis of narcissists' efforts to influence and control others. They try to maintain control in relationships by exploiting others' trust and interest in them. By hiding their own weaknesses, fears, and inadequacies, they constantly seek to dominate others. This prevents the narcissist from forming a deep and sincere bond with the people around them. As people get to know them, they may find that behind the initial attractive and seemingly perfect image, there is fakery and manipulation. As a result, narcissists try to both protect themselves and dominate those around them by hiding their true face. Over time, however, this false image creates mistrust in relationships. Because they hide their true selves, people around them have difficulty trusting them in a real sense. If you are in a relationship with a narcissist, you may find that they constantly try to idealize themselves and hide their true face. This can be a major obstacle to building a healthy and honest relationship. Today, we talked about 8 ways to recognize a narcissist. Remember, this information is not only important for recognizing narcissists, but also for protecting yourself. If you have a narcissist in your life, you need to learn to keep a healthy distance by maintaining your boundaries. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video. Bye.